Good evening, welcome to Central News for Thursday the 7th of November. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, the Tauranga Business Awards were held last week and one company came away with 2 awards. Local clothing company Repertoire won the Customer Service Award and the Marketing and Brand Excellence Award. Organisers and judges commented this was one of the hardest years for judging as business in Tauranga has stepped up a level. Tauranga Chamber of Commerce's Anne Pankhurst says an event like this is important to celebrate business.
The Business Awards actually celebrates business success. So if you want to benchmark yourself against other businesses, you've done improvements, you've worked really hard in your business, it celebrates that. It says this is the baseline and this is how you've grown. I think it's a phenomenal thing. It's a really good test to say I'm really, really good at this and I'm great at being in business.
What was for many years a derelict and neglected barn in Tauranga's historic village is now a vibrant, expansive artist workspace and gallery for individuals and groups. The incubator homes 6 resident artists in their studios, which they call cells, and a sponsored artist resident studio, affectionately known as the Petri Dish. Simone Anderson, the director, says the vision is to create somewhere that the vibrant Tauranga arts community can come together.
The vision is to cultivate connectedness and some cohesion in the art scene in Bay of Plenty.
2 serious incidents involving professional divers working on the Rena have given the Resolve salvage team a scary shake-up. The 2 men, a 25-year-old New Zealander and a 31-year-old American, were both taken to Tauranga Hospital for treatment following the separate incidents on October the 19th and 29th. They are part of a team of divers working at deep sea levels to prepare for the removal of the wreck's accommodation block next month. Rena Recovery spokesperson Hugo Shanahan says on October the 19th, the Kiwi diver reported experiencing breathing problems while approximately at 110 feet or 34 metres. Having alerted his dive supervisor to the problem, he was instructed to flush his helmet and return to the surface. Back on board the barge, he was placed in a hyperbaric chamber. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, your Friday, there will be the odd shower from late morning with a chance of a heavy one and light winds. Your expected high is 20 and an overnight low of 8. Tauranga, your Friday will make Hamilton jealous, mostly fine. There is a little chance of a shower with sea breezes. Your expected high is 20 and an overnight low of 11. Just ahead, computer programming locals take on the world. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A team of 3 young computer whizzes from Waikato University will compete at one of the world's most prestigious programming competitions next year, after being placed 3rd in the South Pacific Finals in Auckland last month. Harriet caught up with the team to find out what's in store.
So what will you have to do at the World Finals?
We'll be given about 10 problems, which we'll have to solve over 5 hours as a group. We'll be in a big hall probably, with lots of other competitors.
Now, how many teams are you going to be competing against and where are they coming from?
There's roughly 120 teams, I think, and from probably 70 or so countries. We're the only team from New Zealand, and there'll be a team from Australia as well, but there's only 2 teams from this sort of region.
And where and when are the World Finals?
The World Finals are in Russia, in Ekaterinburg, which is in the Ural Mountains, and they will be next year in end of June.
Now, will you have to do much training leading up to the World Finals and sort of have practice competitions and that sort of thing?
We'll have to do quite a bit. We haven't really done too much up till now, but over the summer break we'll definitely do several days a week, I'd say, to prepare for it. It'll be a mix of practice problems and maybe some competitions as well, just so we can work as a team together. It's also important to practice algorithms and applying them to a problem.
So tell us a little bit more about your coach and sort of his background and involvement with your team.
His degree is in chemistry, actually, but he's been doing computer science for quite a while. And he's been coaching the other team, so I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah, I think he's been coached for that. When they were, last time the Waikato team won, they went to Orlando in 2000. I think he was the coach then as well. So he's been doing it for a while.
So you have just one computer between the three of you when you're competing. How do you work together without it becoming frustrating?
Well, we sort of look at the problems first, and we each sort of take one each that we think we can sort of solve and work on, and then when one person's on the computer and then the other two sort of work on paper, and then once we sort of swap around, once the person on the computer sort of solved it or sort of had enough, it gets stuck, and then sort of, yeah, it just comes down to making efficient use of the computer and sort of displaying at the time nicely between the problems.
Can you give us an example of a programming problem that we might be able to understand that you may be asked to solve at the competition?
One example is, say you're given a list of boxes, like 3D boxes, with a height, a width, and a length. Your goal is to make the tallest stack of boxes you can. So a box can only go on top of another box if the top face is bigger than the bottom face of the next box. So you're using these boxes, what's the tallest tower you can make?
And what do you enjoy the most about competing?
The feeling of satisfaction when you finally solve a problem that you've spent quite a long time working on.
Yeah, pretty much what Ryan said, I think.
So when you think you solve a problem, you submit it, and then you get feedback, either you pass or you fail. And that moment when you submit it and you're waiting for the feedback, then you either got it right or you try again.
Now, I heard that you were actually the first team to qualify for quite a long time here at the University of Waikato. So what sort of feedback did you receive after qualifying?
Especially Bill Rogers, our coach, was quite surprised, I guess, and excited that we were going to go to Russia. The NZ organisation was glad that we didn't have to, because there's this, usually 2 Australian teams go, and if a New Zealand team comes close to beating an Australian team, there's a rule which says the New Zealand team can sort of take their place, even if they didn't necessarily beat them. So they were glad that we beat them fairly, so they didn't have to use this rule.
And what about friends and family? How did they sort of respond?
They were sort of surprised and happy, I guess. I guess it was a bit sort of surreal at the start, but once it sunk in, it's quite exciting, and yeah, everyone seems quite happy.
And so, do you have any sort of plans in terms of career moves?
It just looks good on the CV, really.
Yeah, same here, really. Not too many plans so far. We'll see how it goes after university.
For more information on the 2014 World Finals, visit icpc.baylor.edu. Coming up next, twins and triplets. Welcome back. According to Statistics New Zealand, multiple births make up just 1.5 to 2% of all births. Multiple Birth Awareness Week is running from the 3rd to the 10th of November, and a number of national events are being held to support parents of multiples. Catherine came into studio to share more about the special week.
So welcome to the studio, Catherine. Now, can you tell us what this Awareness Week is all about?
Okay, so the Multiple Birth Awareness Week is about celebrating multiples, and it's the opportunity to get the word out in the public that there are services available and clubs available for support.
Fantastic. And can you tell us about this week's theme?
So this week's theme is about celebrating multiples as individuals. So basically, they may look identical or share the same birthday, but they are unique individuals. They all have their own likes and dislikes and personality traits. So it's really important to respect that they are individuals.
Fantastic. Now, can you tell us about the picnic that's going to be happening as part of this region's way to sort of celebrate the Awareness Week?
Yep, so we have a picnic happening at the Hamilton Gardens tomorrow. It has a post-moment date of Monday if the weather stays this bad, but it's running from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. It's an opportunity to get together with other families who are in a similar situation and be able to discuss some of your highs and lows, grab advice or just share stories. and let the kids burn off some energy, which is really important. So that's running from 11 until 1, and just bring a picnic lunch.
Fantastic. Well, I'll cross my fingers that it's nice and sunny for you. Now, are there sort of similar events happening around the country as well as part of the week?
Absolutely. So there are events happening all over New Zealand. The best way to find out about those events is to pop onto the New Zealand Multiple Birth Association website, which is www.multiples.org.nz. By going onto that website, you can follow the link, and there's a list of all the different types of events happening and locations.
Great. Now, can you tell us how the Hamilton Multiple Birth Club sort of helped you or supported you in your journey with twins?
I have had so much support from our local club. Initially, I went to a coffee morning, and at the coffee morning, I spoke with other mums of multiples who gave lots and lots of advice, which was fantastic. I learnt that I could receive 240 hours of home help, which is amazing. So that's someone coming into my house and giving me a hand. But I also just got to ask lots of questions to the mums, as you do when you're expecting multiples, and entering the unknown. I also took on the
So how did the Hamilton Multiple Birth Club sort of help you and support you along your journey with twins?
Okay, so I went along to a coffee morning and spoke with other families of multiples. And I got lots of advice. I had lots of questions that I got the opportunity to ask people who were had been through that experience. And I was told about the 240 hours of home help that is available. So I was entitled to that due to having a child already under the age of 5. So that was someone able to come into my house and give me a hand with the babies. Also, I used the hire service. So obviously buying 2 of one product can get quite costly, so hiring it is a fantastic opportunity. So I did that, and also now I have joined the committee.
Yes. It all sounds very helpful.
It's great.
So you're talking about these benefits for you. What would you sort of say would be the biggest benefits for people who may not be sure if they want to sort of join a club or association like this, who may be having multiples or have multiples already?
There's so many benefits to joining a club. I mean, like I've said earlier, just getting to speak with other families that are in the same situation. You have so many questions to ask. You have just so many questions. So it's great being able to have the opportunity to ask people about that. But also the clubs have a lot of services such as library services, so you can borrow books, or get-togethers such as coffee groups or Facebook pages.
And what sort of differences are there when someone's going through a multiple pregnancy compared to a normal birth?
There are quite a lot of differences. The most obvious is the size that you're going to get, and that in itself can have complications. So you may not be able to stand for long periods of time because your body just can't physically hold the weight. I personally found it really difficult to stand cooking dinner the further along my pregnancy I got, just because of the weight. But you also need to go to more regular scans to check on babies, just to make sure they are doing okay, and more regular hospital appointments, seeing an obstetrician, and you may not be able to work as long as you had anticipated because you just can't physically do it.
So what sort of assistance already exists for parents of multiples?
So here in New Zealand, we're really lucky. WINZ offers 240 hours of home help to families who already have a child under the age of 5 years old. So you can use that for having a nanny or even just a housekeeper, but you need to use those hours within 12 months. That's with twins. So if you have triplets, however, you're entitled to 1,560 hours of home help, and that needs to be used within 24 months of the baby's being born. And that is regardless to whether you have any additional children.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge.
Yeah. Now I understand that the Hamilton Multiple Birth Club and all the clubs, in fact, around the country are run by a very hard-working team of volunteers. So if people want to sort of help or offer their service, what can they do to get involved?
So probably the first point of call should be to pop onto the website. So if you go to www.multiples.org.nz, you will be able to find all the clubs all over New Zealand and their contact details. So contact a club and ask how you could help. You could help as much as taking on a committee position or as little as just helping out at a fundraising event.
Visit hamiltonmbc.co.nz. Coming up next, the art scene in the Waikato. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Creative Waikato has some exciting events and projects going on which support the development of the creative arts in the Waikato. Everything Creative Waikato is involved with aims to benefit the Great Waikato community. Harriet caught up with Creative Waikato to find out more about their vision for Hamilton City.
So for those who may not know what Creative Waikato is involved with, can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you actually do?
Creative Waikato is the agency that supports the arts and the development of the arts in the wider Waikato region, which encompasses 10 district councils, so big area from top of the Coromandel right down to Ruapehu. So 10 district councils. And our role is to champion the arts, support the arts and help develop the arts in whatever way it wants to be supported and developed, just so it can be the best it can be.
And who makes up your team?
We have 5 in our team. Desiree Ratama is our strategy and research expert. We have Paul Bradley in creative development, Adrienne Clothier, who is our funding guru, Sarah and myself for supports liaison and relationships. Yeah, so 5 of us.
Now, what is the Creative Waikato vision or plan, I guess, for the next few years?
Well, our vision statement is creativity in everything, but what that really translates to is that we have a thriving creative sector that enhances the lifestyle for everyone who lives in the Waikato, so that it becomes that creativity and the arts become a highly valued part of everyday living in the Waikato.
Tell us about the funding that you have available.
Well, we deal with funding on a few different levels. The first one is that we distribute funds to the arts community. At the moment for Creative Waikato, that's just in Hamilton City. And so we have the Creative Community Scheme, which is money we distribute on behalf of Creative New Zealand. We have an Arts and Culture Grant, which is once a year, and that's from Hamilton City Council. And then a new one, which is the Performing Arts Fund, Contestable Performing Arts Fund. That's $100,000, and that's to develop capacity in Hamilton Performing Arts specifically. Now, even though we're regional, we do administer those funds on behalf of Hamilton City Council. So that's not to say there aren't funding streams for other parts of the region, but they're generally administered by their own local government body.
And what sort of things go on in the space that you have here at Creative Waikato?
We have a range of things that go on in the space here, and we've only been open since June, so it's an evolving type of space. But ever since then, we've had the Matariki exhibition with arts and crafts on display. We've got big walls for artworks to be displayed, and we basically have features in the space where we've had an alignment, a relationship with that artist. So it's not a gallery space per se, you know, it's to display works, and this is not just artworks, this can be, you know, performing arts, like we've had the Federation Dance Company dancing right here in this space. We've had all sorts of things. We just had Diwali, the Diwali festival finished last week, and they ran some workshops throughout the 2 weeks. We've had the Waikato Society of Potters in here, and they were recipients of some Creative Community Scheme funding, so it was fantastic. We almost had an unofficial artist in residence for a month, and it was fantastic. We had a piece actually made in the space here, and it was a community collaboration. So Susan St Lawrence from the Waikato Society of Potters runs the Community Hearth Project, and she just thought it would be amazing to sculpt something in the space and ask the public to come in and just play with clay and add to it. And we must have had literally 50 or more people come in, all walks of life, all ages, and just come in and play with clay. And then that piece was finished and it's been fired, and so it's amazing. Coming up tonight and next Wednesday, we've got the South American music screen filming. So we've got beautiful big walls here for film and displaying presentations. Tomorrow evening we've got Pecha Kucha, which is a really unique presentation format where you have 20 slides in 20 seconds, and again the dimension of the slide has to be on a large scale, and that's again something that's gained quite a big popular following in Hamilton and in the Waikato, and we're holding it here in the space. So anything goes really in the creative side of things. For instance, coming up early December, we've got again recipients of the Creative Community Scheme, the Korean War photo exhibition. So, you know, a whole range of diverse genres we can feature in here, and it's pretty multifunctional, so we can set it up, however people want, and we can also offer it for hire to private bookings as well. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
I think the idea when we moved, so Creative Waikato's been going just over a year now, and we've been in this space since June. And the idea was our predecessors in the arts support community generally worked in small offices, you know, low-funded operations, and the idea was to make the space be a bridge to the community, to bring the community in, whether it be the creative community or the general community, and create a relationship. And also to really profile what's happening in the region, so people who are wandering off the street can get a sense of the diversity of our creative sector.
To find out more information about Creative Waikato and upcoming events, you can find them on their website, creativewaikato.co.nz. That brings us to the end of tonight's news for the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. We would love to hear what you thought about any of the stories on tonight's show, so email us or like us on Facebook. Let us know if you have any news of your own too. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.